Welcome to Hannity. And tonight's celebrities, they are not coping well with Donald Trump's second term. Take a look at your screen. Clearly, this is bizarre. Alec Baldwin, right there on your screen, not in a very good place. He needs his mommy to take care of him. I don't know what that thing is. Anyway, meanwhile, C-list actor Jeff Daniels is still fantasizing about life under President Kamala Harris. It's like a collective meltdown. Take a look.
I still think about Kamala and how I think she would have been a good choice. I don't care what they say.
I don't care what they say. You would have been great. Anyway, the delusion is off the charts. Coming up, we'll check in with Clay Travis. He will respond as Democrats continue their meltdown while President Trump is racking up win after win after win. And now another huge loss for the Democrats. Their beloved late-night therapist who gave up a career in comedy to serve as a devoted partisan MSDNC shill has been canned by CBS, Stephen Colbert, and he will be out in May, and he is not happy about it at all. Take a look.
In a completely unrelated story, on Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go f yourself.
Just exactly why he's in the position he's in. Colbert's show simply wasn't funny. His ratings were abysmal. The program was reportedly losing like $40 to $50 million a year. But can you guess who Democrats blame? Of course, Donald Trump. And President Trump, he's happy about it. And in less than 24 hours, they cooked up another tinfoil hat conspiracy theory claiming that the left-wing CBS is taking orders from the Trump White House. And now the entire Democratic Party, they are seething with more rage, including Jon Stewart. Actually, he's a guy that can be funny. Take a look.
So here's the point. If you're trying to figure out why Stephen's show is ending, I don't think the answer can be found in some smoking gun email or phone call from Trump to CBS executives or in CBS's QuickBooks spreadsheets on the financial health of late night. I think the answer is in the fear and pre-compliance that is gripping all of America's institutions at this very moment.
All right, let's be very clear. Not every Democrat is angrily mourning the loss of the Late Show. I think Stewart should have gotten the job myself. But, you know, Hunter Biden, for example, he's just angry at everything. I mean, everything. Take a look.
Him, and everybody around him. I don't have to be nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. George Clooney is not a actor. He is a I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. You, what do you have to do with anything? Why do I have to listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the New York Times to undermine the president?
F him, F him, F him, F him. But God bless him. I hear he's generous. But F him, F him, F him, F him more. Fortunately, during that interview, Hunter did take a moment to reminisce about one of his favorite old passions in life, crack cocaine. And he even gave a lesson in how to make crack and suggested, if I heard this right, it was less dangerous than alcohol. So if your kids are going to drink, you might want to suggest an alternative. I don't think so. Take a look.
Does crack cocaine make you act any differently? No. Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. People think of crack as being dirty. It's the exact opposite. When you make crack, what you're doing is you're burning off all the impurities.
Oh, I got a science lesson on top of the F-bombs. Crack cocaine might have been the only thing that Hunter didn't disparage during that interview. And now the liberal hosts of Pod Save America's, they're not happy about being attacked by zero experience Hunter. Take a look.
You were on the board of Burisma because of who your dad is. And that is what people hate about Washington. And it was part of the problem.
One thing we know is that Hunter Biden throughout Joe Biden's presidency was a terrible liability for him. And put the addiction aside, it is because he was on Burisma, because he became an artist, because he was part of a kind of like sleazy Washington that, as Tommy said, people hated. You were a liability. You should be ashamed of the ways in which you made your father's political life worse. And like the idea that we're going to listen to you now, like give me a break. It's ridiculous.
Now they sound like me. Now, 5 days ago, the Washington Post, they published this report, quote, Democrats try a new tone, less scripted, or at least try as hard as you can to appear less scripted and more cussing, more cursing. Well, I guess we're getting a lot of that. We got that from Gavin Newsom also. And don't forget, hey, Joe, want to get a brewski? How was the game last night? Let's spend millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions, to communicate to men the way men want to be communicated to. That's real authenticity if I've ever seen it. This dumpster fire full of F words now burning hot inside the Democratic Party. Well, can't be on purpose, right? Democrats, they look... There's no authenticity, none, zero, no creativity. But the sloppy war of words between the Bidens and everyone else in the Democratic Party kind of pales in comparison to the major rift between the party's performative establishment left-wing politicians and the real-life lunatics that believe now in Marxism that rule the party. There is a political civil war playing out inside the Democratic Party. Once powerful Democrats like Chucky Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, they're all cowering in fear. Oh, no, Mamdani, what do? We can't criticize him. We can't criticize AOC. The party's radical base has totally abandoned them. Their fundraising numbers, oh, sadly, they are horrific. Actually, that's a good thing. They are now polling worse than ever in the history of these approval polls. Wow, whopping 19%. The only Democrats with traction are those who want to abolish capitalism, want more DEI, wants taxpayer-funded sex change operations for illegal immigrants and criminals, and taxpayer-funded college education. And, well, they want tampons in grade school boys' bathrooms. Anyway, they want to transform America into nothing but a woke socialist hellhole. Look, I don't agree with Crazy Carville, James Carville, my old friend, much. But this week, he hit the nail on the head. Let me give you this quote. Constipated, leaderless, confused, a cracked-out clown car, divided. These are the words I hear my fellow Democrats using to describe our party as of late. The truth is, they're not wrong. The Democratic Party is in shambles. He's right. They won't listen to him. I have bad news for Carville. If my instincts are correct, it's only going to get worse as the party's devout Marxists take complete control. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.